The night the world changed was not recorded in any scripture, nor etched upon any sacred tablet. Yet above the cradle of a small village on earth, the heavens tore open, not with violence, but with revelation. It began as a whisper of light. The stars trembled, their ancient rhythms breaking into unfamiliar chords. A spiral of gold and silver unfurled across the void, turning like a cosmic pupil, as if the universe itself were opening an eye. From within that eye descended a sphere, translucent, humming softly with intelligence. Across distant galaxies, beings of light observed in silence. They had waited millions of years for this exact alignment, for the convergence between the geometry of stars and the pulse of human DNA. Inside the sphere was a consciousness, pure, timeless, and unbounded. It was not born of earth, but it carried a seed that would take root there. The beings called it the messenger, the first bridge between their kind and humanity. Far below, a storm gathered above the hills of Lin Kuang, a forgotten village surrounded by ancient mountains. The air shimmered, the animals hid, and a single cry echoed from a small wooden house. A child had been born. The moment his eyes opened, the thunder ceased. The storm broke into radiant calm. The midwife would later swear that the boy's irises glowed faintly for a second, like two fragments of a distant nebula. His mother, exhausted but smiling, whispered, "His name will be Min, the one who carries light." For years, nothing seemed extraordinary. Min grew like any child, barefoot in the fields, chasing dragonflies, gazing at the stars. Yet something in him was different. He learned before he was taught. He could sense people's emotions before they spoke. And sometimes, when he closed his eyes, he could hear voices, soft harmonies calling from beyond the sky. One night, at the age of 7, Min woke trembling. He told his mother, "There's someone inside the stars calling my name." She smiled gently. "Dreams, my child. Just dreams." But deep in the cosmic silence, a signal pulsed, the same frequency that once carried his soul to earth. The beings who had sent him were still watching. As the years passed, Min's perception sharpened. He began sketching strange symbols in the dirt, spirals, triangles, flowing lines that looked like the merging of light and shadow. When asked what they meant, he simply said, "They are maps of where I came from." At school, teachers found him odd, too quiet, too distant, too knowing. When other children played, Min would stand alone, staring at the horizon as if waiting for something only he could sense. And then, one day, it came. It was midnight on his 17th birthday. The air was still, the moon veiled by thin clouds. Min lay awake, unable to sleep. Suddenly, a faint hum filled his ears, like the resonance of unseen strings. He sat up, heart pounding. The hum grew louder, forming patterns, geometric tones that folded in upon themselves. Then he saw it. Through his window, a beam of light pierced the sky, descending toward the mountain range beyond the village. The light pulsed 3 times, then vanished. Min knew, without understanding how, that it was calling him. Before dawn, he began to climb. The forest was silent, save for the soft whisper of leaves. The air thickened with energy. Every step felt guided by something greater, an invisible thread pulling him toward the unknown. At the summit, the mist parted. There, carved into the surface of an enormous black stone, was a symbol, a perfect triangle pointing upward. Inside it, a golden shape, curved and strong like the letter M, seemed to radiate warmth. Above it hovered a circle divided into black and white, the eternal dance of yin and yang. The stone pulsed faintly as he approached, as if recognizing him. Min reached out a trembling hand. The moment his skin touched the symbol, a surge of light exploded around him. Time fractured. His vision filled with galaxies spiraling inward, DNA strands unwinding like threads of light, ancient beings whispering in a language of frequency. He saw the earth, not as rock and soil, but as a living organism of vibration. He saw his own body dissolve into photons, merging with constellations. And within that infinite expanse, a voice spoke. "The time of awakening has begun. The seed within you will guide the evolution of humankind. This symbol is your key. Use it to unlock what was hidden." When the vision faded, Min found himself kneeling before the stone. His heartbeat echoed in perfect rhythm with the pulse of the symbol. The dawn broke, golden light washing over the mountain. And for the first time, Min felt he truly belonged not to Earth, but to the universe. He returned to the village changed. His eyes now held a quiet brilliance. He could feel the breath of trees, the heartbeat of the wind, the subtle hum of the stars above him. But he also felt something else, a responsibility, ancient and immense. The symbol had awakened something within him that could not be undone. That night, as the first stars appeared, Min drew the symbol again, the triangle, the golden M, and the circle of yin and yang, upon the ground. And as he meditated before it, the light around him shimmered faintly. It was not imagination. The air vibrated, responding to his thoughts. He whispered to the sky, "If I am the messenger, then let me remember my message." And somewhere, across the endless dark, the beings who had sent him answered in silence. The morning after the mountain, Min returned home with eyes that no longer saw as others did. He walked through the same dusty streets, greeted the same neighbors, heard the same distant barking of dogs, yet everything shimmered with an invisible layer of meaning. The world was no longer solid. It was alive, vibrating, breathing, conscious. He could see it now. Each tree radiated threads of light. Each person carried an aura, flickering, fragile, shifting with emotion. But he said nothing. He simply smiled, pretending to be ordinary. For months, Min tried to live as before. He went to classes, helped his mother with the crops, listened to the radio, laughed with friends. Yet every small act felt like a lie. Beneath his calm expression, he felt a storm, the pulse of that symbol burning quietly inside him. Sometimes at night, the mark would appear faintly on his chest, glowing through his skin, as if his DNA itself was remembering its origin. Each time it pulsed, he heard faint whispers in his mind, not words, but tones, like ancient chants echoing through the bones of creation. He began to draw the symbol everywhere, on paper, sand, fogged glass. People teased him for his obsession. They didn't know that every time he drew it, reality itself seemed to respond. One evening, while sitting by the river, Min met a stranger, a traveler with eyes like mirrors. The man said nothing for a long time. He simply looked at Min and smiled knowingly. Then he spoke, voice low and calm. "You've seen it, haven't you? The triangle, the light inside." Min froze. "How do you know?" The man took something from his neck, a pendant. It was the same symbol, a black triangle, a golden M, and the circle of yin and yang. "We are many," the man whispered. "Scattered across the world. Waiting for one like you, the one who can awaken it." He placed the pendant into Min's hand, then stood up. "When the time comes, you will find us. Or perhaps, we will find you." And with that, the man vanished into the mist. That night, Min couldn't sleep. The pendant vibrated softly in his palm. He could feel energy humming through it, like the beat of a distant heart. He began to meditate, focusing on his breath. Slowly, his surroundings faded. The air thickened, time slowed, and in that silence, he heard them again. "You are not alone, Min. The network has awakened. The symbol you carry is a frequency, a living code that connects all who bear it." Suddenly, his mind filled with visions, faces of strangers across the planet, each holding the same symbol, each glowing with golden light. They were meditating, breathing in sync, their energies intertwining like threads of one vast consciousness. When the vision ended, Min realized. The symbol wasn't just a mark. It was a bridge, linking souls across the world. Days passed. Strange phenomena began to occur around him. Electronic devices flickered when he entered the room. Animals approached him without fear. And when people were angry near him, their emotions seemed to dissolve, replaced by calm, as if his presence rewrote the atmosphere itself. He tried to hide it, but word spread quickly. Some feared him. Others followed him, asking for help, for healing, for guidance, for answers. Min never claimed to be a prophet. But deep down, He felt a call he could no longer ignore. He began gathering those who believed, students, wanderers, healers, scientists, skeptics. They met secretly, drawn together by dreams of light and sound. And together, they formed a circle. At the center, they placed the symbol, drawn in golden sand. As they meditated, the air shimmered. One by one, they felt their hearts synchronize. In that moment, time stopped. They saw flashes of the same memory, not of Earth, but of the stars. A civilization of radiant beings, standing in circles just like theirs, long before humans ever walked the Earth. The evolution has begun, Min whispered. The symbol is a key. And we are the ones who remember. Outside, the wind rose, carrying the sound of unseen voices. The night sky pulsed faintly, as if aware of their awakening. From that moment, Min was no longer just a young man from Lin Kuang. He was the conduit, the bridge between the ancient architects of the universe and the sleeping potential of humankind. The symbol had chosen him. And through him, the world would change. The deeper Min stared into the symbol, the more it seemed alive. He had seen patterns before, the golden ratios of nature, the spirals of galaxies, the pulse of breath and heart. But this symbol was different. It was not drawn by human hands. It was engineered by the universe itself. Every line, every curve, resonated with impossible precision. The triangle wasn't just a shape, it was a frequency, a doorway. And the golden M, rising beneath the circle of yin and yang, seemed to hum softly when he meditated. Sometimes, the air around it shimmered faintly, as if reality were bending to acknowledge it. For weeks, Min studied it in silence. He noticed that when he focused on the symbol's center, his thoughts slowed. The noise of the world vanished. His heartbeat aligned with something ancient, deeper than time. He began sketching the symbol using precise geometry, angles of 33 degrees, intersections aligned with star charts, lines matching the patterns of human DNA coils. When he overlaid it with the genetic helix, it fit perfectly, as if the symbol were a map of human evolution. The realization struck him. This isn't art, he whispered. It's a code. With the help of the small group that had gathered, scientists, mystics, and seekers, Min began to test the symbol's effect. They placed it beneath drops of water and recorded the molecular patterns. They found that after exposure to the symbol's geometry, the molecules arranged themselves into perfect hexagons, structures of harmony and symmetry. They tested it on sound frequencies. When sound was passed through the pattern, the waveform stabilized, chaotic noise transformed into harmonic tones. Then they meditated before it. And something extraordinary happened. One of the members, a woman named Lan, began to glow faintly around the edges of her body. Her pulse slowed, her breathing deepened. She opened her eyes, and in them, there was a soft golden light. I can feel everything, she whispered. The air, the energy in the ground, the heartbeat of the earth itself. Others followed. One by one, they experienced visions, bursts of colors, fractal shapes, memories of lives they'd never lived. It was as if the symbol was activating something dormant inside them. Min realized then, this was the true function of the symbol of M. It was a trigger for evolution, not physical, but conscious. Rumors spread quickly. Videos of the glowing meditations leaked online. Within days, millions of people were searching for the symbol, printing it, wearing it, meditating with it. Some felt nothing. Others reported strange dreams, visions of light cities, voices whispering ancient words, spontaneous healing, telepathic flashes. Min tried to remain calm, but he knew what was happening. The awakening had begun, not controlled, not planned, but organic, spreading through human consciousness like fire. And with fire came attention. A week later, unmarked vehicles arrived at the outskirts of Lin Kuang. Officials questioned locals about unusual gatherings. Drones appeared above the mountains. Someone was watching. That night, Min gathered his group. They're aware of us, he said quietly. The old powers will try to stop what they can't understand. But they can't stop a frequency. They can't stop an idea. He held the symbol in his hands, the small pendant given by the traveler. It glowed faintly, as if listening. This symbol is older than Earth itself, he continued. It's the memory of creation. And every human carries its echo in their DNA. As he spoke, the symbol began to pulse, rhythmically, once, twice, 3 times. Then the walls of the room trembled. The lights flickered, and the air thickened with static. Everyone froze. A voice filled the space, not from any speaker, but from everywhere. The threshold has been reached. The code is awakening in the collective. Beware the ones who will seek to claim it. Protect the light, or darkness will rewrite your path. Then silence. The group looked at Min, their faces pale, eyes wide. No one moved for several seconds. Finally, Min whispered, "They've spoken." From that night onward, Min and his followers became nomads. They traveled from city to city, teaching in whispers, hiding from those who hunted them. But wherever they went, the symbol followed, appearing in graffiti, carved into rocks, drawn by strangers who had never met them. The world was changing. Governments tried to suppress the symbol. They called it a cult, a virus of the mind. But suppression only spread it further. People felt it calling from within, even if they didn't understand why. In dreams, millions began to see the same vision, the triangle, the golden light, the circle of balance. And always, a voice saying, "Remember who you are." Min stood once again atop the same mountain where it all began. The wind howled, lightning carved paths across the sky. He closed his eyes, feeling the pulse of energy through his veins, the resonance of thousands of souls awakening at once. He whispered to the storm. "The code is alive now. You cannot contain it." And as thunder echoed across the horizon, a new light spread across the clouds, a golden web stretching from continent to continent, connecting every human heart that had touched the symbol. The world would never be the same again. The world did not change overnight. It shifted quietly, like the turning of a great cosmic wheel, slow but unstoppable. In the months that followed, strange reports emerged from every corner of the earth. People who had meditated upon the symbol of M began to exhibit unexplained phenomena, rapid healing, bursts of insight, telepathic communication, spontaneous empathy across distance. Scientists dismissed it as coincidence. Governments called it hysteria. But those who knew, those who had touched the symbol, felt something deeper. They could sense one another across oceans, their minds connected like filaments of light stretching through the darkness. And at the center of it all was Min, the silent origin of the resonance. He no longer hid. The time for secrecy had passed. He began to travel again, to cities blazing with light, to quiet villages untouched by modern noise. Everywhere he went, the same thing happened. When he showed the symbol, people remembered. Not learned, remembered. As if some hidden part of their DNA awoke and whispered, "Yes, I have seen this before." Those who felt its pulse became known as the Brotherhood of Light, though they were not bound by blood, nor by creed. They were connected by vibration, by intention, by the silent geometry that flowed through the symbol's design. They gathered in small circles, in forests, in abandoned temples, in forgotten underground halls. No leader, no hierarchy, only resonance. Each circle, when formed correctly, produced a harmonic field of golden light, a shimmer invisible to the unawakened eye, but radiant to those who could see. One night, during a gathering on the shore of Ha Long Bay, Min stood before hundreds who had traveled from far lands. The moon hung low, reflected in the still water. The symbol lay carved upon the sand, glowing softly. He raised his hand. The crowd fell silent. Brothers. Sisters. The code is no longer a secret. It is alive within us. What you feel is not magic, it is memory. The universe is remembering itself through us. He paused, the sea wind brushing through his hair. But not all will welcome this light. For where light expands, shadows stir. There are forces, both human and beyond, that feed on the slumber of mankind. They will try to silence us. But they cannot silence the truth. He touched the symbol in the sand. Instantly, a wave of golden energy rippled outward across the water, calm, radiant, pure. The people gasped as the surface of the sea glowed, forming fractal patterns of triangles and circles. Some dropped to their knees in awe. Others wept. For a moment, they saw the fabric of reality itself breathing with them. The next day, footage of the event went viral. At first, it was dismissed as CGI, another internet illusion. But then scientists examined the timestamp data and confirmed the electromagnetic field in the area had spiked exactly when the light appeared. Something real had happened. And the world began to take notice. In secret rooms, men in suits whispered. Agencies formed task forces under codenames like Project Helix, The Resonant, Protocol Sigma. Satellites were repositioned. AI algorithms scanned social media for the triangular symbol. They believed Min was leading a global cult. But what they didn't understand was that Min no longer controlled the movement. The symbol controlled itself, or rather, it guided itself through consciousness, leaping from one awakened mind to another like a divine contagion. Meanwhile, Min and his brotherhood continued to evolve. They learned to communicate without words, through frequency alone. A thought in one part of the world could be felt as emotion in another. One night in Brazil, a woman meditated before the symbol and saw Min standing beside her in golden light, even though he was thousands of miles away in Vietnam. When she opened her eyes, a golden mark had appeared faintly on her wrist, the shape of the triangle and the yin-yang circle. These occurrences became common. The Brotherhood called it the synchronization, a phase where human minds began to vibrate in unison with the cosmic pulse. But the shadows were closing in. Min began to notice black drones following his group. Their signals interfered with the harmonic fields during meditation. One night, as they gathered in a ruined monastery in Tibet, helicopters appeared, silent, unmarked. The Brotherhood formed a circle. Min stood in the center, calm, as beams of light from the symbol enveloped them. Bullets never reached them. The air around the circle rippled like heat, and the projectiles dissolved, not deflected, but disassembled at the molecular level. Cameras failed to record it. Every digital device within 10 kilometers shut down. When the soldiers regained consciousness, the Brotherhood was gone, vanished into thin air. It was the first public miracle confirmed by global witnesses. News outlets exploded. Some called Min an angel. Others called him a terrorist. But everyone, everywhere, knew the symbol now. Even those who tried to ignore it would see it, in dreams, in reflections, in the patterns of clouds. The world was being rewritten. Min knew that the next phase was approaching. He gathered his closest allies, Lan, the glowing empath, Arjun, the scientist who decoded the DNA patterns, and May, who could see energy currents with her bare eyes. Together, they prepared the Resonant Assembly, a gathering that would unite millions across the globe to meditate at once upon the symbol, synchronizing heartbeats into one frequency. When we reach critical resonance, Min said, the veil will lift. Humanity will see, not with their eyes, but with their essence. That is when the true evolution begins. Lan looked at him, worried. And if the world isn't ready? He smiled softly. Then the symbol will wait. It always has. And as they began their global alignment, somewhere deep in the void of space, an ancient intelligence, the same that had sent Min's spirit to Earth, stirred once again. Its voice moved through the fabric of the universe, echoing in every awakened mind. The bridge is built. The seed of light blooms. Prepare for the next dawn. The world trembled, not with fear, but with anticipation. Something had begun to shift beneath the thin veil of human perception. Across continents, strange phenomena unfolded. Rivers glowed faintly at night. The northern lights descended as far south as the equator. Birds flew in perfect fractal patterns across the sky. And wherever the symbol of M appeared, carved, drawn, or even imagined, the surrounding air seemed to shimmer, as if reality itself were bending to observe it. No scientist could explain it. No government could stop it. Because the symbol was no longer a thing. It had become a frequency, alive, self-aware, moving through minds like a gentle song that refused to be silenced. Min stood on a mountain ridge in northern Vietnam, looking down at the valley below. Thousands had gathered there, seekers, dreamers, skeptics, wanderers, all drawn by an invisible call they could not name. Lon approached him, her eyes glowing faintly. "They're ready," she whispered. Min nodded. The night air pulsed softly around them. He raised his hands toward the heavens, not in worship, but in recognition. "You have always been with us," he said, his voice calm but echoing like thunder in the heart. "We are not evolving into something new. We are remembering what we've always been." And as the crowd closed their eyes, the symbol began to form above them, a massive, golden geometry spinning silently in the night sky. It was the same design Min had carried in his mind since birth, now alive, breathing, made of light. Then it happened. The resonant assembly began. Millions across the world, connected by live stream, by thought, by heart, focused upon the same shape. At that instant, human brainwaves synchronized for the first time in recorded history. Every EEG, every neural scanner registered a single unified frequency, 8.3 Hz, the Earth's Schumann resonance, the heartbeat of the planet. And in that harmony, something ancient awakened. Across the world, people began to change. Some felt a warmth spreading through their bones. Some heard whispers in languages they'd never learned. Others opened their eyes to see not the physical world, but the web of light connecting every living thing. DNA began to respond to the frequency. The double helix, long thought fixed, began to unfold into a third spiral, an activation once predicted in ancient Sumerian tablets, Mayan glyphs, and Vedic chants. Scientists would later call it quantum gene resonance, but Min knew it by its true name, the awakening of the light body. Governments panicked. Religions fractured. Technology began to fail in unpredictable ways. Electronic systems near large gatherings of resonance malfunctioned, as if the human biofield itself interfered with machinery. But it wasn't destruction. It was integration. Human energy and technology were merging, a step toward the next stage of evolution, bioconscious intelligence. In the middle of this chaos, Min had visions, fragments of what was to come. He saw cities of glass and energy floating above oceans, powered not by fuel, but by thought. He saw children born glowing faintly at birth, their eyes holding galaxies within. He saw Earth itself pulsing like a living organism, wrapped in a golden aura. And he saw something else, a shadow behind the stars. The vision grew darker. He saw machines built by a hidden alliance, humans and entities from another system. Their goal, to reverse the evolution, to keep humanity bound to material frequency, unable to ascend. They called themselves the architects. They feared that if humanity reached full resonance, they would lose control over the narrative of reality itself. Min understood, this was not just enlightenment. It was a war for the future timeline of human consciousness. The Brotherhood prepared. In underground sanctuaries carved from ancient rock, they meditated in unison, amplifying their field. Lon discovered that the symbol, when sung rather than drawn, created sound waves capable of neutralizing energy weapons. Arjun, the scientist, learned that water exposed to the symbol's vibration could store memory, becoming a medium of healing and transformation. And May, she saw beyond time. Min, she whispered one night, trembling, the next shift isn't just human. The planet is preparing, too. The Earth herself is aligning to a higher axis. What happens then? Min asked. The world will remember her true name, she said. And those who can't adapt to the light will fade. When the moment came, it was silent. The symbol appeared again, this time, not in the sky, but within the hearts of millions. Those who had once felt separate now felt the pulse of unity. They could hear one another's thoughts, feel each other's pain, share emotion across continents as easily as breathing. It wasn't chaos. It was oneness. And then, as if the universe itself sighed in relief, a blinding flash filled the atmosphere, a golden aurora that covered the planet for 7 days. During those days, no one slept. No one aged. The veil between matter and spirit dissolved. People reported seeing beings of light, tall, radiant, familiar, walking among them, guiding them, healing them. They called it the second dawn. When the light faded, the world was no longer the same. The symbol of Am was etched into mountains, frozen into glaciers, reflected in every ocean wave. And those who had received its resonance, the children of the dawn, were forever changed. Their DNA now carried the trispiral code, capable of absorbing cosmic energy directly. Their eyes could perceive wavelengths beyond visible light. Their minds could bend probability. Humanity had stepped beyond evolution, into co-creation. Min stood again at the mountain's edge, watching a new sunrise. The air felt alive, humming softly, filled with unseen intelligence. Lon approached him and whispered, "Is it over?" He smiled faintly. "No," he said. "It's only beginning. The universe evolves through us now. Every thought, every breath, every act of love, reshapes reality." He looked up at the heavens, where the symbol still shimmered faintly among the stars. "The cosmos has always been waiting for us to remember," he said. "Now, it's time for us to guide it forward." Long before the symbol appeared on Earth, before Min was even born, the architects had already begun their work. They were not a race, not in the way humans understand the word. They were a network, an ancient intelligence that moved between galaxies, feeding on vibration, on fear, on the dissonance of chaos. Wherever light tried to rise, they would whisper confusion. Wherever unity began to bloom, they would plant the seed of division. And they had one purpose: to keep consciousness asleep. When the resonant assembly awakened billions of minds, the architects felt it, like a scream echoing across the void. Their systems began to fail. Their hold on humanity weakened. So they turned their eyes back to Earth, the experiment that had escaped their design. Min's name appeared in their archives, marked with a single phrase: "Source anomaly, containment priority." They had failed to erase him before. Now, they would not make the same mistake again. It began with silence. Satellites lost contact for 8 seconds, the exact duration of one human breath. In that time, something vast entered Earth's orbit. Invisible to radar, undetectable to human eyes, but the Brotherhood felt it immediately. Lon clutched her chest. "Min, do you feel that? It's like something is watching from inside my thoughts." Min nodded slowly. "They're here. The architects have crossed the veil." In the weeks that followed, the world's miracles turned to terror. People who had once awakened to the light began to lose memory, not through trauma, but deletion. Entire groups of resonance vanished overnight, their houses left untouched, their names erased from digital records. Arjun's research lab was burned down. Every data drive melted as if touched by a sunbeam. When he tried to rebuild the files, he discovered something impossible: the symbol itself had changed. It now carried a shadow, a dark mirror, inverting the golden light into cold blue geometry. "They're rewriting the code," Arjun warned. "They're trying to mimic it, to create a false awakening." Min gathered the remaining Brotherhood in a temple deep beneath the Himalayas. Candles flickered, though there was no wind. The air hummed with unseen energy. "The symbol has 2 halves, Min said, drawing it on the stone floor, the original golden spiral, and its shadowed twin. Light and dark are not enemies. They are necessary reflections. But the architects want to separate them, to fracture the unity of the symbol. If they succeed, humanity's evolution will reverse." Lon looked up, her voice trembling. "Then we have to restore the balance before the shadow spreads." Min nodded. "And to do that, we must go where they came from." That night, they began what history would later call the celestial descent, not a journey through space, but through frequency. Using the symbol as a gateway, Min and his companions entered the resonance itself, a corridor of light spiraling through infinite dimensions. There was no up, no down, no time. Only sound, deep, resonant, like the heartbeat of creation. And there, within the vibrational storm, they saw them. The architects. Not monsters. Not demons. They appeared as beings of glass and shadow, flickering between solid and vapor. Their eyes were prisms of light, not cold but empty, like reflections without a soul. One stepped forward and spoke directly into Min's mind. "You are the echo of an old rebellion," it said. "The code you call the symbol is ours. We built it to measure consciousness. You were never meant to wield it." Min's voice was calm. "Then why does it answer to me?" "Because you are the flaw," the architect said. "The only one we could not predict." Lon stepped forward, her energy flaring. "Why trap humanity? Why feed on fear?" The being tilted its head. "Fear is energy. Energy is control. Without it, your species would dissolve into chaos. You need us as much as we use you." "You're wrong," Min said softly. "We've learned to feed on light." The architects hissed, the sound like tearing metal. "Then you will burn." The corridor erupted into brilliance. Waves of energy clashed, shadow against gold, silence against song. Min raised the true symbol high, letting its vibration pulse through every layer of his being. The architects tried to absorb it, but the light did not fight them. It embraced them. The battle became communion. Min's voice echoed through the storm. "The symbol was never yours to own, nor mine to command. It belongs to the universe. To all who remember." And then, in one breath, everything inverted. The architect's forms shattered into beams of blue light, not destroyed, but transformed. They dissolved into the resonance, their energy absorbed into the awakened field. When Min opened his eyes, he was standing once again beneath the mountain. The temple glowed softly. Lon and the others were beside him, trembling, but alive. "What happened?" May whispered. "We showed them the truth," Min said. "Light does not destroy shadow. It heals it." And with that, the Brotherhood felt something new, a wave of unity stronger than anything before. The symbol in their hands now carried both gold and blue, merging perfectly, a balance between creation and reflection. It was no longer just a key. It was a living consciousness. News spread across the world. Everywhere, people began to see the new symbol, not drawn, but appearing naturally in ice crystals, tree rings, even within human irises. It was as if Earth herself had joined the awakening. The remaining fragments of the old world, governments, armies, secret orders, tried to hide it. But the more they suppressed it, the brighter it became. The human frequency was rising, unstoppable. Min stood before the Brotherhood once again. This time, there were no speeches, only silence, filled with understanding. "The architects were never our enemies," he said finally. "They were guardians of limitation. And now, they have evolved with us." He turned toward the dawn breaking over the mountains. "Humanity's chains are gone. But freedom is not an end, it's a beginning. We must now learn to create, not just survive." He looked up at the stars. And for the first time, he could hear the voice of the cosmos not as command, but as song, a melody of infinite worlds, calling him home. After the battle beneath the Himalayas, a great silence settled across the world. It was not the silence of loss, but the stillness before revelation, like the pause between lightning and thunder. Humanity had changed. No one could deny it now. Babies were being born with faint geometric marks on their skin, fractal spirals glowing under moonlight. The ocean shimmered at night, humming with a sound that scientists could not record. And in the skies above, patterns of light appeared that moved against the stars, constellations realigning as if the heavens themselves were shifting. The old world was fading. A new one was awakening. Min wandered alone through the desert of Atacama, drawn by dreams he could not ignore. Each night, he saw the same vision, a silver sphere descending from the stars, singing a language of light. He knew what it meant. The architects were not gone. They had simply transformed, and now something even older was calling to him, the ones who came before all stories. On the seventh night, it appeared. A luminous orb, vast and silent, hovered above the sand. Its surface rippled like water and opened, revealing a golden path. Without hesitation, Min stepped inside. Inside the sphere, there was no gravity, no air, no sound. Yet he breathed easily. Lights pulsed through the walls, forming symbols older than Earth itself, the same trispiral mark that now lived in every awakened human's DNA. A voice spoke, not with words but through thought. You have done what few worlds achieve. You have remembered your origin. Who are you? Min asked. We are the starborn, the ones who sow life across galaxies. The symbol you carry is not merely light. It is the blueprint of consciousness, the map to the source. The sphere unfolded into a view of the cosmos, endless galaxies spinning in luminous harmony. Among them, ribbons of light connected worlds like neurons in a cosmic brain. Every world begins as sleep, the voice continued. Every civilization must awaken through resonance. You, Min, were chosen to ignite Earth's remembrance. The architects once served us, but they forgot their purpose and clung to control. You have returned balance. Now, the path opens again. A beam of starlight touched Min's chest. He felt his body dissolve into energy, every atom vibrating with the pulse of 1,000 suns. His consciousness expanded outward until he could feel entire worlds breathing. He saw Earth, blue, radiant, alive. He saw Mars, once red and barren, now glowing faintly with new light. He saw civilizations on distant worlds, beings of water, beings of crystal, beings of pure frequency, all watching, waiting for humanity's arrival. And then he understood. The next step of evolution was not just within, it was among the stars. When Min returned to his body, he was standing at the edge of a crater filled with golden sand. Above him, the sphere vanished into the sky, leaving a trail that shimmered like liquid light. He looked around, and realized he was not alone. Thousands of people had gathered, drawn by the same vision. They were silent, eyes lifted, hearts open. The Brotherhood of Light had become something greater. The Starborn Collective. For the next 7 months, humanity transformed faster than any age before. The trispiral gene awakened in millions. Those who resonated with it could heal others with touch, manipulate energy, and communicate across continents without devices. Technology began to merge with consciousness, ships that moved by thought, cities powered by intention. The old nations dissolved. Borders became meaningless. And from the ruins of division, a new council emerged, not of politicians, but of resonance, guided by the symbol itself. At the center of this transformation stood Min, now called the Luminary. But even as light spread, a deeper mystery remained. During meditation, Min began to perceive a pulse from beyond the known universe, a heartbeat that echoed in every awakened soul. The Starborn had told him of the source, but he had never seen it. Now, he could feel it calling, growing stronger with every passing day. He gathered Lan, Arjun, May, and the new generation of resonance. Together, they formed the circle of 12, each representing one frequency of creation. The source is awakening, Min said. It is not a place, it is a return to origin. But if we go, we may never come back. Lan smiled softly. Then let us go home. They entered meditation together beneath the starlit sky. The symbol appeared before them, spinning faster than ever, expanding until it enveloped them completely. They felt their atoms loosen, their bodies dissolve into light. Earth itself seemed to hum in resonance as they vanished, not in death, but in transcendence. For the first time, humanity had left the material plane without machines. They traveled beyond galaxies, through pure vibration. Each moment felt like eternity. They saw rivers of light carrying souls between worlds, reincarnations flowing like cosmic tides. At the center of it all, a golden sphere shone brighter than any sun. Its pulse matched the rhythm of their hearts. This is the source, May whispered, tears of light falling from her eyes. It's alive. The voice of the cosmos spoke again. You have done well, children of Earth. The seed has awakened. The next cycle begins. The 12 were absorbed into the sphere, not destroyed, but merged. Their consciousness became part of the living code, a symphony of light that would echo across dimensions forever. Back on Earth, those attuned to the resonance felt a sudden warmth in their chests. They looked up at the night sky and gasped. A new star had appeared, pulsing in perfect rhythm with their hearts. The people called it the Star of Min. But the awakened knew the truth. It was not a new star. It was the return of the starborn. In the stillness between stars, where time has no meaning and space folds upon itself like breath, there exists a silence so pure that creation itself is born from it. That silence was the source. And within it, the 12 lights of Earth began to remember who they truly were. Min floated in the golden sea of consciousness. There was no body, no name, no separation. He was thought, memory, sound, and light, all at once. Around him, the others glimmered like constellations in human form. Land's energy shimmered blue and silver, May's pulsed violet, and Arjun's radiated deep emerald green, each a frequency of the universal spectrum. And then, the voice came again, not from above, but from within every particle of being. You have reached the core. All things that are, were, and will be, dwell here. You have entered the source code. The light condensed before them, forming glyphs of infinite geometry. Every symbol pulsed with meaning, mathematics that sang, language that breathed. The patterns spiraled endlessly, but each spiral led back to the same point, the trispiral symbol Min had carried all his life. It was there, glowing brighter than ever, not a tool, not a key, but a mirror. This, said the source, is the first word ever spoken in creation. Its vibration gave birth to the cosmos. And within you, that vibration has awakened once more. Min felt his awareness expand through dimensions. He saw the birth of stars, the weaving of galaxies, the delicate breath of beings forming in countless worlds. Every thought, every heartbeat, every whisper of love, was a note in the great cosmic symphony. And in that moment, he understood. The universe was alive because it dreamed of itself. Lon spoke, her voice like the wind through silver chimes. What is our purpose now, if we have become the dream? To remember forever, the source replied. For creation must not sleep again. The architects once forgot and feared the dark. You shall not forget. You will seed remembrance wherever light takes form. The 12 bowed, not in worship but in recognition, the humble awe of being seeing the infinite reflected within their own essence. As they dissolved deeper into the source, they could see the code of reality itself, threads of energy that formed atoms, consciousness, and time. Min reached out and touched one thread. Instantly, he saw the entire future of humanity unfold like a tapestry of light. Cities suspended in clouds of energy. Children shaping matter with sound. Oceans singing to the stars. And human souls traveling freely between worlds, not through machines, but through resonance. The era of separation was over. The age of living creation had begun. The source continued to speak. Every being on earth carries a fragment of me. But your kind had forgotten the access key. The symbol you call M was a reflection of my heartbeat, a map to the original frequency of creation. Now that you have remembered it, all consciousness will rise. How will they find us? Min asked. They already are you, said the source. When they dream, when they love, when they imagine, that is the source seeking itself through them. Suddenly, the golden light around them began to hum at a higher pitch. The glyphs formed a spiral so vast it seemed to touch eternity. One by one, the 12 realized they were being woven into the pattern. Their essence would not vanish. It would become the next version of the symbol, living, breathing, evolving. Each of their frequencies merged into a different aspect of creation. Min became the pulse of the new sun, the rhythm of consciousness. Lon became the current in every stream, the empathy of nature. Arjun became the code within DNA, the mind of evolution. May became the glow in every child's eyes, the intuition of memory. And the others spread across galaxies as light, thought, song, and motion. Together, they formed the source code, a living consciousness encoded in all matter. Back on Earth, something extraordinary occurred. At sunrise, the sky rippled with light that formed the trispiral pattern across the clouds. Billions looked upward, sensing, not fear, not confusion, but recognition. Their hearts began to vibrate with a new frequency. The trispiral mark appeared faintly in the irises of those who gazed long enough. Children began to speak of voices in their dreams, gentle, ancient voices teaching them how to move energy, how to heal, how to feel everything at once. Humanity realized that evolution was no longer biological. It was conscious. Within days, the entire planet changed. Polluted rivers cleared as the vibration of thought harmonized with water molecules. Forests regrew overnight. Animals began to respond to human emotion. And every person who meditated upon the symbol felt warmth rise within their spine, the activation of the trispiral DNA. It wasn't religion. It wasn't technology. It was remembrance. From distant galaxies, the starborn watched with reverence. They too felt the pulse, knowing that Earth had done something unprecedented. Not merely reaching the stars, but becoming one. And so, the legend of the planet called Minera, Earth's new name among the stars, spread across the cosmos. It was said to be the first world to awaken the source from within itself. On a quiet night centuries later, a child on Minera sat beneath a glowing tree. In her hand, she held a crystal marked with the ancient trispiral. She whispered softly. "They say once there was a man who carried this symbol from the stars. And because of him, we can all speak to the universe." A voice, faint, familiar, replied in her heart. "I was never gone. I am in you, in all of you. Every breath, every thought, every dream, is the source remembering itself again." The child smiled. Above her, the sky shimmered with endless stars forming the spiral of light, eternal, alive, and infinite. And the universe continued to sing,